Hey, I'm Antonio Graceffo. We're in the wrestling room at Shanghai University of Sport. I spent a lot of my time here. Roll around on the ground for 4 years, maybe you too can get a university degree. Now, here's the deal. Last year, I was on the Chinese traditional wrestling team at the university, but because of some administrative difficulties, it's difficult to have foreigners on sport teams, so I was off the Chinese wrestling team this year. However, it worked out to my advantage because I hired some private trainers. So I got a private trainer for judo, one for sanda, and one for Greco. And my dissertation is about comparative wrestling styles. So it's actually better that I get more experience with different kinds of styles. And this is probably my only chance in my life to learn Greco, so I'm very excited about it. Every day when I come into practice, Fang Yuan and I start with this kind of like pummeling, sort of sparring, but not quite sparring. And this is how we warm up. We start out just in standing, hand fighting, head fighting, pushing each other around. And then eventually we'll slowly start to go for throws but not take them. Eventually we'll take the throws but not fight on the ground. Eventually we'll fight on the ground. I get 2 points. I threw myself. I get 2 points. We've done the Shuai. Now, Greco-Roman, it's wrestling, but you're not allowed to grab the legs, and you're not allowed to use the legs to trip your opponent. You can't attack his legs or touch his legs at all, not even on the ground. And that's easily the hardest part of adjusting to learning Greco-Roman wrestling. In English, I believe this technique is called the arm drag. And it's used basically for spinning your opponent around and getting behind him. Now, obviously I learned versions of arm drag in MMA training, like so many of the other techniques I'm learning. I learned some version of it in MMA, but now I'm learning it the Greco way. And in my judo class, I learned it the judo way. And in the sanda class, I learned it the sanda way. So I'm finding out that so much of what we do in MMA is inexact. It's because you're not a specialist. These guys are specialists. Fang Yuan lived in a sports training academy more than half his life, and this is all he's done every day for 12, 13 years, which is very different than MMA, where we're learning a little bit of Muay Thai, a little bit of Jiu-Jitsu, a little bit of wrestling, a little bit of everything. So sometimes the things I'm doing or the things I'm learning are very basic. They're things that children would learn when they're learning to wrestle, but I never had that experience, so I'm learning it now for the first time at age 47. This is a new one for me. In MMA, I would never even consider rolling to my belly as a defense, but in wrestling, it's a way of preventing yourself from getting pinned. I've never tried it out before. I'm supposed to be learning Greco-Roman wrestling, so I should only use Greco techniques, but once we get on the ground, a lot of times instinct takes over, and I wind up using my legs, or I wind up doing submissions, and I still lose. Sometimes I gotta save face, so I just outright cheat. I fight off my back, I use submissions, and I submit him just to let him know who's boss. I've only been wrestling for a year and a half, and I'm doing a lot of different kinds of styles of wrestling between the freestyle, Greco, judo. So a lot of times I wind up just throwing myself on my back. I'm just confused. I don't know exactly what to do. But luckily, once again, I wound up getting a submission on Fang Yuan from the bottom. The thing about him, though, is he learned his submissions very quickly, and he's starting to use them on me. I'm trying to learn Greco, but I'm trying to learn Greco mostly because I like to fight MMA and I want to improve my MMA skills. So some of the techniques I like to modify. So look at this. Let's say I want to take a head throw. Here. Fine. Okay, now I can't throw him, right? Now I can't throw him. He's going to defend. Okay, I want to throw him, but he's defending. So what do? I take a big step out here. Boom. And I can take him down. And then from here, boom, get a submission on his arm. This is not very good. But in MMA, I don't even have to go for that throw. I can just we're punching. I can punch his head, intentionally miss, step in, boom, and take him down. My great coach with the jiao Fang Yuan, he's 80 kgs, but he's stronger than a guy who's 100 kgs. 你的力量非常大，你的力量一直80公斤，可是你的力量跟那个100多一样。You know, I'm doing both judo and wrestling right now. And what I like better about wrestling is strength matters. And Greco-Roman wrestlers are the strongest people out there. Okay, first, push your body out front so you can't pull your push your body out so you can't grab you. Take control of his wrist, his arm, pull it out to the side, step back here, land right in submission. Okay, from here, the judo way to get out of this, I just hold his arm here, take him down. In Greco, the way to get out of this, I go forward. You're already on your knees when he grabs you. Stand up, and then go forward. Okay, from here, there's a submission. It's not going to work on everybody, but it'll work on people who don't have a lot of training. It's right here, it's like a shoulder grip. Okay. Hey, he's telling me in Greco I'm not allowed to crank the head like that, but in MMA the head crank. So basically, this happens in Greco, but it's going to happen a lot in MMA and freestyle. He wants to take my leg, so I catch his head here, and I just roll back. For wrestling, I just get on top, and I pin him. For MMA, I go for the neck crank here. Something I find very interesting about Greco is that even though they aren't allowed to take the legs, they still have a shoot. They still shoot and do the same techniques you would expect in freestyle wrestling, except they do it by grabbing the waist instead of the legs. Might be right. One of the things I like about all my coaches at the university, whether it's judo, wrestling, or sanda, they have very accurate technique. I would assume because they've spent years and years and years of full-time training and perfecting their art. My coaches are thinkers. They all think about how to modify the techniques so I can use them for MMA, which is amazing considering how little exposure they've had to MMA fighting. But he's saying, I like that move. It's the first time he ever showed it to me, but he said he didn't show me because he thought it's not good for MMA because he said that when I go on my knees, it's really easy to get hit in the face with the knee. That was good thinking on Fang Yuan's part. And many people believe that when you shoot low or you shoot in or you go for the takedown, you're going to catch the knee to the face, but it's actually not quite that simple. And that's what I'm showing him. Knees are a lot easier to catch and a lot easier to block than kicks. Also, when you knee, just like when you kick, you're taking one foot off the ground, which means your balance is going to be weaker. It's about the last thing you want to do when someone's trying to take you down. Okay, but that's not Greco, that's MMA. These are good instances like that.